What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, returning champions from yesterday. We have Squirrel Patrol. We have Head Chopper as well. There's baseball going on right now. I'm told I can't watch it because my TV is blacked out every single game, thanks to Rob Manfred and his archaic rules. And Xfinity is blaming it on Bally Sports. What an absolute disaster. We were talking about this pre-show. And yeah, when I lived in Vegas, I think it was 5 or 6 teams were blacked out. Like all the teams are like 5 hours away. Oakland, San Fran, LA. I don't know how baseball thinks this is like a positive thing. Like, why would you want to suppress? I'm paying for the packages. I pay for it. And we still can't watch it. We can't figure it out. I'm tilted. SDL Cards is tilted. He's going to be on later. A few things fire up SDL Cards. One thing is Cardinals. 2 things. Don't let him watch the Cardinals. That's going to fire him up as well. We got Cards joining us later. We have Dave Potts. We have Kevin Roth. We got Squirrel Patrol. We have Chopper. Chopper did his mic check. Chop, are we upset? Are we tilted all as far as the baseball being suppressed? So, like, Blender wouldn't know the difference. I don't think he's watched a baseball game since like 1972. But like, this is annoying, especially when I pay for it. What's up, Chop?
Well, Dean, you're a little more upset than I am. I have to be honest with you about that one. It's, I used to get like, man, what in the world here, man? I can't watch the Astros or the Rangers on this thing. And then the worst part for me, was that I'm in a area where Rangers are on TV, but the Astros aren't the local team. So I could never watch the Astros, like not even like at least in some places you can't watch it on the MLB thing, but at least you can watch it on your local Fox Sports or whatever it is. But so I could never watch the Astros. And then so for a while I was doing the whole VPN thing, with MLB.com, and that was okay, but that was kind of too much of a hassle. So I just kind of gave up on it, Dean, and they're lost because now I just illegally stream everything. It's pretty easy to do. It's not, the sites are out there. They're high quality. There's no, it's pretty easy these days. So that's their loss, man. I don't even worry about it anymore.
We're not encouraging that. You're just saying that's what you do. We're not saying necessarily that's what people should do. This is being viewed by some people, just throwing it out there on the interwebs. Internet's forever. But, yeah, it really is counterproductive. It's a terrible idea. I know you're talking about Squirrel, and wasn't there many years ago, didn't Baltimore, was it Angelos trying to, not allow a team in Washington? Wasn't that a big fight at one point? And I'm sure there's some TV struggles there as well. But, yeah, I'm sure you're enjoying something similar.
Yeah, no. The Orioles and Nationals. It was really conflicting for me as a kid. It's actually childhood trauma you're bringing up here on the show. But
sorry,
I was a big baseball fan, so I root for the Orioles. But there was also this thing that I lived way closer to Washington D.C. So wanted a team in Washington D.C. and the owner of my team that I cheered for was blocking that. And then years later there was a MASN dispute. I think Mid Atlantic Sports Network or whatever dispute between Angelos and the Nationals, and it's a mess. Major League Baseball, you kind of mentioned it, stepping on their own foot there. They don't want the extra expense of the extra hamsters, in the wheel, churning out the broadcast or whatever. So,
yeah, it's a big old mess. Whether we can watch them or not, there will be 7 games being played tonight for baseball. And again, we got Roth coming on later. We got Dave Potts as well as SDL Cards. We're on early. If you guys don't know, this is why you hit the like button. This is why you subscribe. This is why you turn on those notifications so oh, wait, they're on early. We jump on at 5 o'clock. The slate starts at 6:35. That's why crunch time's coming in at 6. We bumped everything forward. Chop has some knockers on layaway for the people. He's got a BBP suggestion, I presume. Shout out to Chop. I'll give the shout out. Was it Connor Joe? Was your BBP? Now, it was just a suggestion, to be fair. You didn't really commit to it, but I think he homered in his first at bat yesterday. And you also have some tiers. You also have some tiers for us, which that's the other thing that has me tilted, Chop. I'm not pleased. You did a pretty good job, but there's one egregious error.
Listen here. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there, but if you're dealing with a couple of co-hosts, Dean, who don't want to take the effort, if you're dealing with a couple of co-hosts who don't want to put in the pre-show effort, make your own tiers, Dean. You do it, but you're dealing with a couple professionals today that like to go above and beyond. So we did our own, Dean.
Well, I said to you, I said I appreciate you take the initiative. I took a little umbrage, but disagreement's good. It's a healthy disagreement. We'll talk about that later on in the show. So what you really nailed. Again, it's mostly correct. It's just one thing that has me a little bit tilted. We'll discuss it when we're power ranking our favorite stacks. As far as the slate tonight, let's Bobby says shots fired. Was that a shot at Bobby? I don't know who that was a shot at. You think Bobby doesn't want to do the pre-show work? He's done it before. It doesn't take a lot of legwork, to be honest. It's also a Wheel Wednesday for the people, if you're not aware. In about 45 minutes or so, about 5:45 on the East Coast, give or take, we are going to spin that imaginary wheel. Of course, producer Steve's going to spin it. How do you get your name on that wheel to get yourself a week free of RG Premium? Well, you go to the Discord channel, RotoGrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel, and producer Steve, he's made a comment. He's dropped an avatar. Just put a thumbs up next to it. Just hit that avatar, and he will take your name and throw it on the wheel, spinning it at about 15 minutes or so. All right, Squirrel, it's a 7-gamer, so plenty of time to talk about it. Not a very distinct 7-gamer. I don't know how you feel about it. Like it's pretty. I mean, games will be played. It's not. I don't have a lot of strong stands, so I'm open to hearing what you have to say. But I'm curious where you're at. Give me the screenshot when it comes to the slate tonight. Pretty good pitching. The hitting is kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, you kind of get that in the baseball season. It's no longer April. You get some slates where it's like, you're answering a question in the expert survey or doing a show. And it's like, so like, what's going on with this slate? It's just another 7 baseball games.
Yeah.
like no Coors Field game. There's no game where it's like, oh yeah, this guy's, this team's got an 8 implied run total, or this hot prospect's up, and he's got 12, strikeouts per 9 innings in mine or whatever. Yeah. That 7 games, it's interesting because the team that I like on offense the best is the Dodgers again, but it's because they have the same exact matchup they had when I was doing all this content yesterday, because they got a B delay, and Jordan Montgomery apparently got like pretty warmed up. Like they were saying he was like going to the mound sweating and stuff, and they were like, no, there's bees. We got to like take care of the bees. It took like over an hour. The bee removal guy ended up throwing out the first pitch.
Amazing.
They were cheering for him. Yeah, they were going crazy. But it's still the same matchup from yesterday that I like. And I like it even more today because the Diamondbacks like blew through their entire bullpen doing that bullpen game unexpectedly. And Montgomery had to get warmed up yesterday and then not pitch. So see how that goes. But there's half the games of yesterday. So that's something we got to, keep in mind. Yesterday I was all about fading the chalk kind of no matter what. There's, 26 teams in play or whatever. Today is only 14. So I think that makes a difference.
Don Husey in chat said they had a press conference with the big guy. I did not see that, but I did see it throughout the first pitch, which is amazing. Good for him. I thought Montgomery got stung by a bee. I thought that's what happened. Like it was like maybe he got allergic, like a my girl situation happening. But yeah, it was just he got heavily warmed up, like you said, and he had to pause for an hour and a half plus. And, it didn't make a lot of sense to ramp him back up. So I guess Gallen was supposed to pitch today. I think he got pushed back as well. But and I love the point of the bullpen because they worked pretty hard yesterday. Yeah, and also he's like reverse splitsy, kind of neutral, and like people are afraid to play. We talked about this yesterday. Freeman, Ohtani, and the other bummer is that like I knew once they had a bullpen game, I'm like, oh man, Chris Taylor is not long for this game. He's going to be gone really fast. He might have 1 or 2 at bats. Rojas wasn't long for the game. Once they're kind of bouncing back and forth. But Taylor was like 2K and he's terrible. But he made one of my lineups work. I'm like, this is not going to end well. But yeah. And you sound like you want to say something there, Swirl.
Oh no! I remember. Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday that we liked Max Muncy. It was a shame he wasn't in the lineup. And then I was kind of thinking of some of these same things. And I was thinking I want to get these like Dodgers and Diamondbacks out of my lineups because I didn't think the game was going to play. And then I realized, I can't late swap. Yeah, like there's no other game to swap to. It's a B delay, So yeah, I was sweating that, and then of course, like Chris Taylor, who's like had a pretty bad season as it is so far. Like I think he got 1 at bat. Then Muncy was in the game, but he didn't do anything that I recall either. So we'll get another shot at it tonight.
Chop, what do you got as far as the screenshot? And like I guess I suggested the RotoGrinders consider hiring a B guy. Roth is the meteorologist. I don't know how frequent this is going to happen, but I want a heads up this is going to happen in the future going forward. Hopefully this is a one-time deal. But Yeah, Chop, what do you got? A screenshot as far as tonight's 7-gamer.
Screenshot. I don't know, Dean. I'll probably wing it. I'll let you know the real screenshot as we get into it. But it's been a busy day on the NBA. Got to prep for the NBA tonight. Got afternoon.
You had to rank
baseball.
your tiers. You took a lot of energy in that.
Got an afternoon baseball. There was a lot going on. So I'm kind of digging into it while we talk here. But that's fine, Dean. It's good stuff. Now, how in the world does it get delayed 2 hours for bees? I just want to know what they were doing with it. Like, what's going on? The bee guy
wasn't like in the building. I think they got to call him in. I think you got to call somebody in. It's a whole thing.
Can't somebody just run to Walmart or Lowe's and grab a couple cans of bee spray, man?
Did you see how many bees there were?
It was a serious bee situation. Yeah,
I mean,
it was a swarm. Yeah, it was a swarm of bees for sure. I think they vacuumed them up. I think it was like a power vac. This guy went in this lift. Well, they might have freed him afterwards. I don't know what happened. They put I assume that they freed him out. I'm not sure. Go make some honey or something. Go to the farm. But this guy was on a lift. Like he went up like 20 or 30 feet or so. Like MLB.com was tweeting it out. Again, he was an absolute hero. And I don't know if he's the only bee guy in the area. I suppose they could have called somebody else. If he was eating dinner with his family, he's like, I got to do what now? What's happening?
They mentioned he had to leave his son's t-ball game and go to the stadium, like because he's like the manager of the pest removal services company or whatever in Arizona. He had to the Phoenix branch. Yeah, he had to leave his son's t-ball game, get to the stadium. That they let him throw out the first pitch.
They got to make a commercial, like a local commercial out of this, right? They got to build it around. Like this guy's going to make a killing going forward. I don't know how the bee business is in Arizona, but like competitors are secretly very angry that this guy was called. It's a huge edge now. Anyways, Chop, you got anything else as far as the slate tonight?
Not really, Dean. We'll figure it out as we go. How about that? We're going to wing it today, Dean. This is wing it Wednesday.
So I think part of the winging is figuring out ownership. I think Potts wrote about this in his article. I think you wrote this as well in the expert survey, Squirrel. And ownership feels like it's going to kind of sort of somewhat dictate, but I don't really know. It feels a little bit fragile as well, and it's kind of condensed. We currently have Corbin Burns taking on the Yankees. Tough matchup. Ballpark is a little bit better. This is the ballpark they moved back left field specifically for Aaron Judge, allegedly. That was the implications. Aaron Judge-proof left field there in Baltimore. Munoz for the Marlins is 25%. He's cheap. He's not good. And he's facing the Rockies, and he's in a good ballpark. He had one good start, and good for him, but he is not a prospect. But again, he's throwing baseballs, and he's throwing them against the Rockies, and they're pretty terrible. Cutter Crawford at 22%. It's really, really condensed. Again, 21% for Luis Heel, 20% for Imanaga. Been a little bit lucky. Taking on a Mets team, it's not very good. No Nemo in that lineup. I think Taylor is leading off. He strikes out a ton. He's got some power theoretically. Yamamoto at 17% seems really interesting. He's a much better price on FanDuel. These are DK prices that I'm throwing out there. But Squirrel, our ownership team, I don't think they're just throwing their arms up too. It's really, really condensed. Do you think it's going to spread out as we get closer to lock, or that's just the way it's going to be? It's going to be pretty flat when it comes to the pitchers.
So you're saying it's like spread out as it is, right?
31%, 25, 22, 21, 20, 19, 17, 16, 15. Like it's all in that range, basically 15 to 25, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're doing single entry, that means you do like what you kind of pick, not really worrying about ownership that much. Or I mean, I guess I wrote the opposite in the expert survey, saying that I'd let ownership dictate what I want to do. But I don't know that you can, right? Like I kind of always expect ownership to concentrate on like the best plays. I guess you got to like kind of estimate who you think that's going to be. I kind of like the Marlins pitcher. I think it's a good situation facing the Rockies, but I agree. I put the Rockies as my sneaky stack too, because I don't think anyone wants to play them, but it's a volatile, underpriced situation. I think it means you can do what you want, but I don't know that you necessarily want to go with like the absolute top, right? I think it's likely that whatever we have projected as like the highest owned is going to gain some steam as you get closer to lock.
Rockies did call up one of their bigger prospects, Jordan Beck. He's hitting 8th tonight, and DK did add him to the player pool midday. He's 2.7K and batting 8th. Roderick Munoz, I'm curious to get your take on it because the minor league numbers are really sketch. But again, he's throwing baseballs against the Rockies. And I think even Dave wrote this in his article. It's like, yeah, the Rockies are bad, but they're probably better than most AAA teams. Like they kind of have to be. But again, the ballpark is pretty good, and he's also cheap, and he just kind of makes stuff work. But do you have anybody that's significantly better than, as far as you have a stand when it comes to Burns against the Yankees? Is he somebody that you want to get well over? The K's don't appear to be getting much higher than 25% or so, which is like fine, but not elite. Munoz in his one start was very good, but again, we're not really sure what we're getting here. Crawford, that Boston organization as a whole has just done a really, really good job as far as approaching pitching, organizational philosophy, less fastballs. I tweeted this out. Luis Gil has faced 108 hitters this year. Half of those hitters, half of 108, have either struck out or walked. That's all the guy does. 32.4% strikeouts, 17.6% walks, which is just wild. The K's are amazing. The walks, not so much. But like that's why he's like one of the more interesting, highest variant potential outcome guy. Like he can strike out 10 and he can walk 8. I guess he can do both in the same game theoretically. It's a lot of pitches to throw, but you know what I'm saying. Do you have a favorite amongst that group, Squirrel?
Among the high end group, probably Burns, but I don't know if that I'm like going to be dramatically over the field. I think he's like an interesting spend up. I think people shy away a little bit maybe because of the Yankees matchup. Hard to say. But yeah, probably Burns. I feel like I'm trying to recapture previous seasons or something, but I still think he's you got to think there's a possibility he goes out there and gets more strikeouts. And it's a tough matchup, but maybe that keeps ownership down.
Pulling it up on the Plate IQ right now as far as Baltimore. Burns taking on the Yankees. Pretty standard Yankee lineup, right? Volpe, Soto, Judge, Stanton, Rizzo, Torres, Grisham, Trevino, and Cabrera. Cabrera down to the 9-hole, collectively striking at a 23.2% in the last 2 seasons versus righties. Yeah, the Burns thing this year, 25.4% Ks. Last year, 25.5% Ks. Maybe he's just a 25% strikeout pitcher, which is not terrible. It's just not elite. Chop, where are you at as far as Burns versus the Yankees?
Well, I would have normally said I don't really care about this matchup. I don't care. I mean, theoretically, he probably has as much arm talent as anybody on the slate. I like that, and I'm always going to favor that over the matchup. He hasn't been great, the last few outings. Like for this price tag and for all the expectations, you'd think he's going to be a little bit better, but I'm not worried about the matchup. Like, so if I think he's, on his game and he's healthy, then I'm going to play him over this matchup. I'm not even going to, it's not even one of those things where, I maybe stack a few Yankees in some lineups and then Burns in more lineups. No, I just won't stack the Yankees at all. I think he's superior pitcher to this lineup. I think there's plenty of holes in there where he's going to get strikeouts. So yeah, I don't care about this matchup at all. I like Burns.
How many lineups do they be making today, Chop?
Man, I did one for the morning slate, and I'll do 150 tonight. But ooh. I did one for the morning. It's not freaking Braves are going off right now. I'm toast in the morning, man.
5-0 Atlanta. No homers. Riley's got a triple. I'm not really sure how that happened, but he got somebody. The outfielders collide or something. How did Riley get a triple? Maybe a weird carom or something. But yeah, no homers for Atlanta. They're currently up 5-0 in Seattle. Chris Sale with 7 Ks. Did you play some Chris Sale, Chop?
No, I played. Did not play Chris Sale. Played. Man, I'm slipping my mind, but it wasn't Chris Sale. That's for sure.
Did you play Freddie Peralta yesterday? Did you see his ejection?
Oh yeah, I had some Peralta. Yeah, that was weird. That was odd. Get ejected. I hate when that happens. Just like the other night in the NBA, I think. Oh yeah, Portis got ejected. Boy, what was that? That was a disaster.
Kind of earned that one. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. But
had
at the same time, you can't. And they're already so shorthanded. You got to have a little bit of leeway if you're the ump or the ref. Come on, man, have a little leeway there. Don't eject guys like that. But yeah. The Peralta got me, and then the Portis got me the night before. But that happens in DFS. That's why we bounce back the next day.
Siri kind of, I don't want to say, I don't know, hot dogs, I don't know what word you want to use, But I love a good bat flip. He just kind of stared at his homer a little too long, apparently, and Peralta didn't like that. And it was weird because he plunked him on a 3-0 pitch. The first 3 pitches were like one outside, one inside, one away. And then it was 3-0, and he's like, screw it, I'm just going to hit the guy. And Siri did like this shimmy, like he knew it was coming. But like if you, on the homer, you could see that Peralta was like chasing him down, like staring him down.
That was good stuff. I like a little
little
rivalry. You gotta like a little. You know who does sneaky good bat flips, Dean? Which
Who's that?
I shouldn't say plural bat flips because he should be bat flip because he's
got
like
one home run.
One every 2 years. That's John Singleton. Watch his home run from last night. He gives a nice little bat flip every time he gets into one.
Didn't he like destroy baseballs? And did he play in Korea or something? Am I making this up? Did he play overseas somewhere? Or no?
I think the bat flip is a thing in Korea too. Like they
embrace
like
it.
they do it all the time.
Oh, they do like a little bat flipping in Korea. There, you're right. I don't know if he played in Korea. I just know he was out of the league for like 8 or 9 years.
It should be like a competition at the All-Star game. About instead of the home run derby, replace it with best bat flip. They have over there. I'm not sure if it's Korea or Japan. They have like a bunting contest, which is amazing. I don't know if you ever saw it before. They have to like hit it to dead into a certain spot. It's kind of like a bullseye. It's more enthralling than it sounds like. I'm not fully selling it, but I don't know if you guys have watched was it Korea or Japan? Maybe both. I'm not really sure, but yeah, those things happen. I don't know why I sidetracked the show. My apologies. Other pitchers that are throwing baseballs: Yamamoto taking on Arizona. Again, his FanDuel price. I want to see the ownership over there because I think he might be the most popular pitcher over there. Yeah, he's $9K on FanDuel, which is distinctly different than Burns at 10.6, Imanaga at 10.3, Verlander at 10K. I think the ownership should reflect that. 20% Burns, 14% Yamamoto, which is kind of surprising. I feel like Yamamoto is, obviously salary is a thing. I'd rather have Burns probably straight up, but we're actually projecting Yamamoto basically for the same amount of points for a little bit cheaper. All right. Verlander, is he in play for you, Chop? I know that's your guy on your team.
Yeah, he's definitely in play. Well, first of all, unlike yesterday, where there was this massive slate, like Squirrel said, you got to look at. There's only 7 games here, so there's only 14 pitchers, and there's several pitchers that you just wouldn't want to touch anyway. So it leaves more guys in your pool, relative to the size. So. Because of the size of the slate, I don't mind Verlander. Now, I know that the argument there is going to be Cleveland doesn't strike out much and all that stuff, but it's a smaller slate, and he's looked sharp since he came back from the injury. So I'm willing to give Verlander a twirl tonight here.
By the way, Singleton is 32 years old. I think they got rid of their old first baseman. Almost 33. He's got 226 days, so he's knocking on the door of 33. In 2018, he didn't play major or minor league baseball because he was suspended. Not sure what happened there. In 2021, he was playing baseball in Mexico. I don't know what happened in 2019 or 2020, but yeah, I think maybe he wandered over to Asia. Not sure, but he was playing baseball for Houston 10 years ago in 2014, where he was a bit of a prospect, coming all the way back full circle. But there's the quick Wikipedia on John Singleton. What do you got, Squirrel, as far as Verlander? Any other pitchers that you want to Verlander versus Imanaga? I prefer Imanaga amongst those two if you're going to compare those two. I see King asking in chat to decide between those two. What's your take there, Squirrel?
Yeah, I actually have like Verlander projected just a little bit better. And yeah, I was interested actually to get your guys' inputs because I didn't know exactly how stretched out is he, how's he looked since returning from the injury. I know there were some limitations there. I'm getting him in the pool, not spending up for pitcher a ton. But yeah, I think that he's in the pool. And only 14 pitchers to choose from. So I'll probably be playing some Verlander.
I mean, you could say it's only 10 innings, right? You can you can definitely make a lot of 10 innings, and sometimes it's just nonsense, but that's a sample we have, so we'll talk about it. 1.74 ERA, good for him, but his left on base percentage is 94%. His BABIP is 240, and that adds up to like a Sierra that's almost 2 runs higher, which is still fine at 3.76. It's just he has been lucky in the small sample. The Ks have been good, 26.8%. Walks a little bit too high at 9.8%. But again, we're talking, extreme small sample, giving up a fair bit of fly balls, and historically, we know he's a reverse splits righty. I want to see how many righties he's facing for Cleveland. a lot of lefties. He's facing a lot of lefties. So he's better. Yeah, so he's better versus lefties. And like, did Cleveland not get the memo? I think it's just 2 righties in Fry.
These teams don't. These half these guys out there running teams are like still stuck in the 60s, man. It's lefty versus righty, man. They're always going to choose the opposite hand there. That's just
but you know this, Chop. You know Verlander's reverse splits righty.
I know that there's certain guys out there who definitely are better against, are definitely better against third in hand, and you got to look at that. And even though it goes against it's counterintuitive to your preconceived notion, you got to deal with it. That's fine. Did you read the thing about I saw a quote today. A little snippet on the NFL. I don't want to sidetrack the show, but the Detroit Lions guy, that I don't know if he was the GM or what, and they said, in an interview asking him about positional value and how he goes about drafting with analytics and positional value, and he says positional value, yeah, I dug into all that. So you want me to draft a position instead of a player? No thanks. I'm drafting football players, man. And these guys are gonna win the NFC next year, Dean. So that tells you some of the analytics need to be thrown out the window. You gotta go.
Well, that sounds like Detroit, but at least Detroit, like, they go for it on 4th down more times than most teams. So I'll give them that. They are aggressive on 4th down when you almost, people punt.
Okay, I'll bring this back full circle to Verlander though, Dean. Real quick. Like, yeah, you don't get as many strikeouts in this lineup, but you know what else you don't have to deal with is a lot of power. There's like 2 guys in there who you're really scared of power wise.
Ram Naylor.
And that's really been Verlander's like bugaboo for many years is the random home runs. So, it's a trade-off there. He's not going to get as many strikeouts, but he's probably going to be able to go deeper into the game with less runs and be a little bit more efficient anyway.
Squirrel, talk to me about this cheapie for the Marlins. It sounds like you're interested, probably just because he's cheap and he's facing Colorado and the ballpark. Is there anything else you like about him?
I didn't know who he was in this morning. I think I even wrote that in the expert survey and in my my player blurb there. But facing the Rockies, not in Colorado, even this year in Colorado, is something I'm interested in. It kind of reminds me of one of those like UFC fights where the guy late replacement, and then you end up with like a mispriced fighter, right? This guy's going to go make a start at really cheap dollar amount against Colorado Rockies. Like if he if he has a good game, then for the price, that's going to be an excellent payout. So that gives that lets you spend up whatever bats you want. If he gets rocked, then maybe you want to have for multi-entering, then maybe you're including like a 5-man Rocky stack because like his minor league numbers this season do not look good. But again, it's like 17 innings or something. The issue in the minors has been control. So if that carries over to the major leagues, that's going to be a problem. Maybe it's just a handful of one-off games, and he did have. It's not like his first major league start or anything. I think he did have at least one game in the majors so far, and it was good. I think this is the classic. You want to maybe play it both ways kind of thing. It's almost like a mispriced fighter. You got a mispriced pitcher here, really cheap, especially on FanDuel. Relative to DraftKings, and it's something like sometimes the $4,000 guy is a guy you don't really want to consider on FanDuel. When he's a $4,000 guy on DraftKings, which he's not, you don't want to consider that guy on FanDuel because he's only going to go 4 innings. You only get one pitcher. But this guy should have a standard kind of leash. So I'm interested.
We're projecting 81 pitches for what it's worth. So not like incredibly high, but like, cost per pitch, if you want to do that analysis, it's fine considering he's 6'5" on I think he's 5'5" on FanDuel.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you need that on FanDuel because, I guess then all of a sudden it becomes like a pick 'em and you essentially have the same lineup as everybody else that rosters him. Just all the big spends. Is that something you'd consider on FanDuel, or is he only like a DK for you, Squirrel?
No. I'd play him on FanDuel. He's actually like relatively more pricey on DraftKings, I think, because he's $6,500 on DraftKings. You can actually go to like Andrew Heaney or Trevor Williams for even cheaper. And Heaney actually is somebody that I'm interested in as well. On FanDuel, he's $5,500, which is about as cheap as it gets. And he's the cheapest pitcher on the board.
Several people in chat are talking about Heaney. Talk to me about Heaney.
Well, just a matchup against the Nationals. So yeah, I was actually just looking at the Nationals versus left-handers. Really against both sides of the plate. The Nationals aren't a team that you want to shy away from. I think sometimes they could be a sneaky stack with speed or whatever. But yeah, 21st in WOBA against left-handed pitching. So yeah, I mean, I'll take Andrew Heaney for cheap. Did well in his last start, or at least decently in his last start. 4 earned runs over 6 innings, but 7 strikeouts against Seattle. Hasn't had the best year so far, but yeah, he's cheap. I'm interested.
Still waiting on a few lineups. Do we still not have Boston? Have I missed Boston? Has that not come in? Because that seems strange. That game's less than 2 hours away. I guess no Boston lineup just yet for whatever reason. And the late game, Arizona and the Dodgers, that's not surprising. It's kind of a sprint slate if you just throw out the last game. Of course, I presume we're going to want to piece that last game, the Dodgers and the D-backs. Chop, anything else you want to say?
Whoa. Yeah, a lot of things I need to say here, Dean. Number one, I forgot about this one for a second there. Chris Kirkwood is in the chat. I got to give him a shot. I told him I'd give him a shout out today to lift his spirits. He's under the weather here in a bad way, so we want to give Kirkwood a little shout out, And yeah, are we still talking about pitching, or are you ready to move on?
Yeah. We'll talk our stacks in a second, but let's talk a little bit pitching.
Yeah,
but let's wish Kirkwood well. I'm sorry to hear he's not feeling.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's
sorry
get
he's
him
not
healthy,
feeling great.
man. And then, can we talk about our boy? Let's talk about our boy Butthole, Jose Butthole.
Okay.
He's in the Jose Butthole in the Butthole Jenkins in chat. Jose Butthole starting for the Mets tonight. What do you think about that one, Dean? You liking?
Does it change things that it's
You
Budo?
a big fan of Butthole?
You're talking about Butthole Jenkins.
No, Jose, the Mets pitcher, man.
Yeah. Budo is
Oh, Budo. My bad.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to ruin it for you. The bits.
I haven't seen a Mets game in 4 years. I couldn't tell you anybody's name.
They got the best broadcast in baseball, I think. Maybe people in chat will tell us who's the best broadcast in baseball. The Mets are pretty good, though. I like their. If you can watch it, if you can somehow find a way to watch it, I don't know if it's still on TV, but their broadcast is pretty good. I think even Cheese kind of compared him to Luis Gil a little bit, where it's a fair bit of Ks and too many walks, right? Luis Gil, 32.4% Ks, Budo at 27.8%, Budo not 17.6% walks, but too many at 13.3%. I think he's fine. The ballpark is fine. It's just, can we not walk everybody? That's basically the question. Looks like there's some Ks in this lineup for Chicago. Pulling up the plate IQ. I'm just looking at the lineup, but just kind of seeing some of the names.
You noticing a theme here with pitching, young pitching these days, Dean?
What's the theme? They can't throw strikes?
They can't throw strikes because they're all throwing so damn hard, and that's the problem. They lack control because they're all trying to throw so hard. And because they're throwing so hard and they're throwing so many sliders, they're throwing out their elbow, Dean. It's a theme. I like, if I can pick up on it and I'm just a novice, how come these front offices can't pick up on it?
I mean, it's been talked about. Several people have talked about it. I'm not rooting for the Mason Miller injury. I'm absolutely not rooting for it, but it feels like it's coming when he's throwing every single pitch is like 102, 103 for Oakland. By the way, I did pull up Chicago's lineup as suspected. It is a really strikeout heavy lineup. Everybody is in the red with the exception of their top 2 hitters, Horner and Tauchman. Tauchman at 21% as far as striking out, Horner at 11.8%, but Happ at 22, Morel at 29, Bush at 33. He's got in the tank. He was hot to start up, the season, but all of a sudden there's holes in his swing for sure. Swanson's 24%, Mervis is 25%, Amaya 25%, and Pete Crow Armstrong, small sample, 26%. There are a lot of Ks in this lineup. I do like Buto. So yeah, I think I'm actually bumping him up a little bit in my head with the K potential here. And also the tricky part, Tauchman is patient, Happ is patient, Bush has been patient, Swanson's been patient. So they will take walks too. There's going to be a fair bit of walks and a fair bit of Ks. And hopefully, you don't get a big homer after several walks. But I think Budo is very much in play. Your thoughts here, Squirrel?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. He was a guy that, was going to be probably one of my higher owned pitchers. And reading out that lineup and the K percentages, maybe have to give him a little bit of a bump up. Wouldn't be surprised if he's a guy that gains some steam as we get closer to lock. But yeah, I think it's a good matchup. And on a night when no pitcher really, stands out, then I think he's definitely in the pool. Probably be a prominent member of the.
Oh, I'm not sure if your voice just gave out. I couldn't hear you. If you finished, by all means, but for some reason it cut off on me. But all right, maybe a little tech issue on my end. But all right, let's talk stacks. Before we do that, Chop did rank. He took the initiative. He wanted to rank baseball movies. So in chat, before we reveal it, let me know what is the best baseball movie of all time. What is the worst baseball movie of all time? Give me both. The best and the worst. And we shall reveal in a second.
Dean, before we even reveal it, I do want to preface it by saying I did not rank the best and the worst baseball movies. I just selected some movies from different tiers. Like my number one, pick up on the board there is not necessarily my favorite baseball, although that
why
probably
wouldn't
is.
it be? I don't. Why would you not do that? That's the whole point of rankings.
No. It's just a tier, Dean. It's just like my number one movie on the board is in that number one tier. Like I find it so difficult and so like ridiculous, really, for people to say, "Oh, this is the number one movie of all time." There's like so many movies, and they're so good, and they're all so different. How can you possibly? I don't know how you can say something is the best of all time. Like, I don't get it. So, like,
it's your list, though. It's your opinion.
But yeah, and to me, I can't break a tie between Field of Dreams and Major League, for instance.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to. So I don't have room for like two great movies because then I couldn't put them in two different categories. I'd be doing one of them a disservice. So I'm just tearing it up for you, Dean. I'm just tearing it up for you, But whatever.
I think I understand because well, not to reveal everything, but I think you didn't put Field of Dreams anywhere because you think it's great and you didn't want to like besmirch it by putting it anywhere lower, but you had to pick another one. I think that's what happens. Which I understand that. It not being explained that way. I understand that.
Yeah, I can't put Field of Dreams down in the good category or the mediocre category. It's one of the best. But then I got to pick one to rank this list by. So I picked one in every category. I felt like.
Chop, the last minute of Field of Dreams. Are you cutting onions? Does it get you every time?
Which one? Where he's playing catch with his pops? Yeah, that's a big. Yeah. That's a good. Yeah. That's big time. That's big time.
That's a go-to, right? That's on the board, I think, for a lot of people. But all right, we shall give the Scroll. You want to give your thoughts? Anything baseball movie related before we get? I don't know if did you get a chance to see the board? I don't know if you've got a sneak peek like I did.
No, I've not seen the board yet, so I'm looking forward to it.
Do you think Squirrel is like rolling around in dollar bills, man, at his house? There's no chance he's doing pre-show work. That's ridiculous, Dean.
He was tagged in the conversation. You included him in the conversation.
Yeah, he's not looking at any of that. I've seen that. I've seen my messages to him go unread for like weeks at a time. He doesn't check all that stuff, man.
Oh, I think you probably tagged the wrong me because I didn't see anything.
There's an imposter?
Yeah, there is. I have two different accounts, so you got to make sure you get the right one because I don't see anything on my my notifications or anything like that.
I had two different accounts as well accidentally. That's so funny. We had the same issue, and I don't know how I got rid of it, but I think I got rid of it. Yeah. Andy helped me out with it, I believe. But yeah, and I wrote you a note a couple weeks ago. I think you ranked like 4 NBA players opposed to 5, or maybe one short or one too many. And I was like, yeah, just a heads up, because it was 2 or 3 games, and you didn't respond. I'm like, whatever, no big deal, who cares? But I probably sent that to your ghost, I imagine.
Yeah. If it says Squirrel Patrol, that's the one I don't check. Like I'm not literally never even logged into it.
Fair enough. All right, so the chat, we're gonna go ahead and reveal this. The chat is telling us best baseball movie all time, The Cutting Edge. Wasn't that was an ice hockey movie, wasn't it? The Naked Gun. I love that answer because I guess you could argue that's a baseball movie. Reggie Jackson. Fever Pitch is not on the board. Chop, you want to explain your rankings? Number 1, Major League. Number 2, Moneyball. Number 3, go ahead.
Yeah, so these are just tiers, like we do the stack. So the best teams out there, the ones I say number 1 on the night, that's Major League, which is a top tier baseball movie. I find Major League to be one of the best of all time in that genre. Next down, Moneyball. I don't think Moneyball is a tier 1 baseball movie. I can't put Moneyball up there with Major League or Field of Dreams. Maybe Bull Durham is in that category too. So Moneyball is the next level down. Very good movie, very entertaining, definitely rewatchable, just not in that elite category. So that'll be the next stack level. The third one is kind of like, run of the mill. Don't love it, don't hate it. To me, that's The Natural. Like Robert Redford, old school movie. It's okay. I'm not rewatching The Natural a bunch of times. It's a little corny, but it's not bad. So I'm going to leave it right there. Next one. Not so great. Certainly not lower level stuff here, but not so great. Just my opinion. League of Their Own. I'm not rewatching League of Their Own ever. Like I've seen it once. That was enough for me. That's enough. That's that cat. And then what's the last one? The last one is like, I don't want to touch these stacks. They're not good. Not good.
Yeah.
I'm not making a full movie of Ed. I'm not making it through the full movie of Ed. I don't believe so. That's down there.
Maybe producer Steve could show the cover of Ed. We were talking about this pre-show. Matt LeBlanc back in the day. It's him and a monkey playing baseball. Matt LeBlanc is a pitching prospect. By the way, he's pitching. You watch it like he needs a stand-in or something like that. There's no way he's a pitching prospect. But and then they got the monkey Ed playing third base. Like what manager throws? There it is. Producer Steve all over it. I did check. I was curious. The Rotten Tomatoes score on Ed 6% is the Rotten according to the reviewers. 22% according to the audience. All of which are like 12 and under. I imagine who submitted that. But yeah, it's not, I was reading the reviews pre-show. That's what I was doing. My research, reading the Ed reviews. Yeah, they were not kind. Anyways, the only thing I take issue with, Chop, is A League of Their Own is a spectacular baseball movie. That was my issue. Everything else is fine. I have A League of Their Own actually number 2 on my official list. Moneyball number 1, A League of Their Own number 2, Major League 3, Field of Dreams 4, Sugar 5. But we don't have time for more. I tweeted this out. Basketball's in the top 10. Hardball was in the top 10. 42, 8 men out. Sugar? Did I say sugar? All right. Let's talk about the actual stacks tonight. Collectively, myself, Squirrel, the Luch, and Kyle Murray, we have Texas number 1, Houston number 2, the Dodgers number 3, then Boston, Miami, Baltimore, Arizona, Cleveland. Squirrel, remember yesterday we had 24 teams and we had 6 teams consensus-wise? Today we have 14 teams and we have, 8 teams consensus-wise? It just tells us it's really spread out. Yeah, Texas, Houston, Dodgers, Boston. We'll go in here and we'll throw the teams in the tiers in just a second. But we'll just say that. Unless there's anything you want to say from a broad perspective when it comes to stacks, we'll just go game by game.
No, yeah, we'll get to it. I think the list is perfect. So yeah, giddy up.
Okay. No issues with the list. There you go. Fair enough. Chat's not approving. They don't like it. Let's see. Yeah, they don't like. Some people like your list. The Fan. They want your boy Butto wants The Fan. That was that Wesley Snipes De Niro movie. I think it was fine. All right.
Be clear, it's not every baseball movie, right? We can't put every baseball movie on this list. Just it's a sampling of each category.
Yeah, there's more than 5 baseball movies. It turns out.
Yeah,
you can't rank everything, as Chop was saying before. Don Yeezy's giving a big thumbs down as well. So Yankees against Burns. Chop, you go first. Tell us where you want to put the Yankees and knock out Baltimore as well.
Yeah, Yankees Burns. That one's going down to the Ed category because I'm not stacking against Burns. Now you could one off a home run. That's fine, but to stack against this guy, and I'll pass. I mean, I know he could have some issues, but while he's in the game going 5 or 6 or 7 innings, you're probably not putting up more than 2 or 3 runs against him. I don't think that's stack worthy. So that goes way down there. Baltimore against the Gill Monster. Yeah. To me, that fell into the natural category. Just it's right there. I don't want to attack this guy, but he can give up those walks. He can get run out of the game early. So there's potential in your stack, even though the actual starting pitcher is probably going to suppress your stack. There's still potential in it because they could get to the bullpen nice and early too.
Squirrel, we have any issues here? It's a democracy. If you disagree and I'm with you, we'll move it. Otherwise, we'll keep them where they're at.
I think I'd give both of these teams a little bit of an ownership bump because I don't think they're going to see that, that high of ownership. I would put the Yankees in a league of their own. They're both they're top 10 in slugging percentage, top 10 in WOBA. It's a good offense. Obviously not the best pitcher, not a pitcher we want to attack, but yeah, that keeps ownership down. So you never know what's going to happen. So I'd put them out. Yeah, I think if you're doing like a multi-entry set, the Yankees definitely deserving of a stack in there. And the Orioles, same thing, really good offense. I'd bump them up. I think Luis Gil will be popular, but he's inconsistent. So I'd bump them up to Moneyball.
I agree with both your assessments. Let's bump them both up, Steve. Baltimore up the Moneyball and the Yankees up to a league of their own. Squirrel, Colorado and the Marlins. 9 total, by the way. Pretty big total for those offenses in that ballpark, but kind of speaks to the pitchers, obviously.
Yeah, so I think I'm, relative to the field, I think I'm going to be higher on Colorado and lower on Miami. And so I might, kind of stick them both at the natural, kind of right in the middle. If anything, I'd maybe consider bumping Miami down a little bit. But this is, ownership considered. I think if you're not considering ownership, Miami should be higher and the Rockies should be a little bit lower. And I do like the idea of for the price taking some of this Miami pitch.
That is exactly where I want to put him. Tim Anderson was expected to come back tonight, but he's not. He was scratched. Feel pretty good about Josh Bell. Luis Ariz is up. What do you do with Ariz, Squirrel? And just only in stacks. He's just such an annoying player in a roster because he generally needs multiple events to get there.
Yeah, he's not a guy that's gonna show up in my lineups unless I'm doing forcing in a stack. And then when he's sitting leadoff, then maybe if you're playing the stack, he's somebody you want to play or at least consider. But he's generally a guy I'm gonna be under the field on.
Chopper, any issues here, Colorado Marlins?
I mean, he has it where he wants to rank it. I personally have them both a category up into the Moneyball category, but I don't besmirch Squirrel's rankings. He's better at this.
I'm with Squirrel again. I'm not playing favorites, but I'm agreeing with Squirrel once again. So it's good to hear your opinion. But 2-1 that they're staying in the natural. Chop, Giants, Boston. I believe there's bad weather in Boston today. I do want to pull up the weather edge.
Ain't no bad.
Yeah,
weather.
no. Yeah, 70 game sample, 51 degrees. Wind blowing in from what's right center field.
You got to define bad weather, man. Bad weather is potential to get delayed or postponed. You just mean bad hitting weather or bad pitching weather. Come on, you got to specify yourself.
Well, I thought that was implied.
No, bad weather implies this might get postponed.
No.
Yes.
I don't think so.
You have to throw the extra. You have to throw the extra verb in there. Bad hitting weather.
Enough. Bad hitting weather. Fine. My apologies. 28% hit in home runs, 21% hit in runs in 70 previous games of similar hitting weather. So it's not the best environment. But where do you got San Fran and Boston?
San Fran is in a league of their own category for me. Sometimes of an explosive offense with, I think, not a great matchup tonight. So that's where they fall there. Boston, I'm putting them in the Moneyball category. No. You know what? Let's go Moneyball. Why not? Yeah, Boston. I don't like the fact that they've got some guys injured and they're not a full lineup, but I think they can take advantage of this matchup tonight. So, yeah, that's where I'm going to put them.
So, Eric Miller is starting for San Fran. I thought it was Dalton Jeffries. Is that like an opener or something? Who is Eric Miller? Is he just an opener like in their pen? I'm going to check really quick.
Yes. Yeah, he's a one-inning guy.
Okay. I don't know when this happened. I just missed it. But, okay. Eric Miller is throwing baseballs tonight. We're not rostering him. He's a lefty. Maybe that's why Boston is waiting on their roster. They're trying to figure out how to deal with the lefty opener. I'm not really sure. Let me see. Miller last threw baseballs on Sunday, the 28th. He threw 24 pitches. So he's pretty well rested. So probably can go maybe an inning or two or something like that. But okay. And I'm guessing Jeffries is the one who's going to be coming in unless there's something else I'm not aware of. But that's what I was expecting it to be. Once upon a time, a prospect for Oakland. It wasn't very good. But all right. So Boston and San Fran, Squirrel, what do you got? You agreeing with Chop this time?
Yeah, San Francisco definitely. Bad matchup in terms of the pitcher, good ballpark. But I never really loved playing San Francisco. I think some of it is like residual fear of them getting pinch hit for. And I don't think they're even doing that as much this year. but it's just not a team that I love to get to, and a team I rarely find myself playing. And going up against Cutter Crawford, I'll be playing more Cutter Crawford than I think than playing San Francisco stacks, despite the ballpark upgrade. Red Sox, I could go either natural or Moneyball. I think I'll leave it up to you to decide. Again, the matchup's not really a concern in terms of the pitcher, but there are kind of less big names in that lineup than we're used to. So I don't think it's a team I'm going to go like crazy for, but I can see them as being natural or Moneyball.
It is strange that we don't have a lineup just yet, and maybe that's what it is. They're trying to figure out how to counter Eric Miller, or maybe there's an injury I'm not aware of, but no Boston lineup just yet. We did get Arizona. McCarthy, Gurriel, Marte, Walker, Peterson, Suarez, Moreno, Carroll still in the 8-hole, and you got Blaze Alexander starting today. So no Newman, Alexander starting. I think otherwise that is essentially how it looked yesterday. Cubs, Mets, Imanaga versus Buto. Squirrel, you take the lead as far as these two teams.
Oh, sorry. Cubs and Mets?
Yes, sir.
So Cubs, man, you kind of read off the K percentages and the lineup there. I think if there's going to be an Ed, I think they have to be under Ed consideration. Mets, hey, probably put the Mets in a league of their own. Probably prefer the Mets lineup to the Cubs lineup there. Yeah, I have a time considered question. Does the Dodgers lineup come out yet?
No, we're still waiting on the Dodgers, still waiting on Boston. Otherwise, we got everything else.
We want to play that game where we assume Max Muncy's not going to be in the lineup and bet is under like hits and under walks that are available, because they had the same lineup yesterday and he wasn't in it.
So if he doesn't start and he comes in and pinch hits and he doesn't walk, is that a winner for you? If you bet the under?
If you bet the under walks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we want to do when we're sure he's going to get pinch hit for.
That's what I like to do. I've been doing it with the Twins a lot. It wasn't successful today. I was 1 for 3, which is not terrible, but you get positive juice on it. Yeah. But I love betting like Kirilov to not get a hit and to not walk. And like even if you split, you win because you use like plus 150, plus 180. Larnick, I had no hit today, so that was a winner. He got pinch hit for. As a general rule, like some of those like Minnesota versus lefties, certain teams, and obviously you want to check the bullpens as well, but like especially versus lefties. Oh, we did get the Dodgers. It must have just dropped.
So it would be Chris Taylor we were looking for potentially too.
When did it come out?
It must have just come out.
Yeah, Tim is telling us in chat, unless he's got like a secretly, Dave Roberts gave him a heads up, but I don't see it on Twitter, but maybe I'll give it a refresh and find it someplace. Can you post the entire lineup in chat if you don't mind?
Are you calling Tim a liar, Dean? That was not being very polite of you, man. Well, that's kind of what you're saying.
I was asking for him to post the lineup.
That's basically what you said, and that's. I mean, I'm offended for Tim.
Are you?
Yeah. I mean, basically, you said, there's no way Tim has a lineup. I don't even see it on Twitter.
I did not say that.
And then you sarcastically said, he must have a line to Dave Roberts' office. Like, come on.
Maybe he knows a guy. You're saying he can't possibly know a guy? He might know a guy.
That's what you're saying. I'm saying I believe in Tim that it's out there somewhere, and I take his word for it for sure.
Don Yeezy's got it. Betts, Freeman, Smith, Hernandez, Pajas, Rojas, Taylor, Barnes. All right, Yamamoto doing the pitching. Thank you for that. So, yeah, we got all the lineups with the exception of Boston. Chop, did you have any issues with Chicago and the Mets, or shall we move on?
I mean, this is his call, but for me, I have them both one tier below where they are currently at. That's where I put them.
You got the Mets in the gutter. You got the Mets down all the way in the gutter.
The Mets, first of all, I don't particularly like their lineup in general. Most nights, I think they're overachieving early in the season. I don't like them and I certainly don't like him in this matchup. I think this is a really good pitcher. I mean, he plays more. Squirrel's doing more of ownership, mixing in ownership with it. I'm doing more of just my gut feel, like where I think these guys are going to rank on a scale of scoring 1 run tonight or scoring double digits and really helping you. So I'm not factoring ownership. I have them both ranked a level below where they're at.
I'm going to stick with where they're at. I'm going to just stick to agreeing with Squirrel, apparently. No Will Smith, by the way, if you missed that. No Will Smith, no Muncy. So the Dodgers already with an enhanced, by the way, if you can get Chris Taylor under on hits at like even money or something, anywhere close to that, I love that bet because you can give him like 19 at bats. That dude is not getting a hit. It can go 27 innings and somehow he doesn't get pinch hit for. There's the mush. He's going to get an infield single in the 3rd inning. All right. Squirrel, your Nats versus the Rangers. Let's knock out those 2 teams. We are going to spin the wheel, actually, when we're done with this, about 5 minutes or so. Give away a week free of RG Premium. Last chance to get your name in. I'm not sure if it's even been cut off at this point by producer Steve. He is multitasking, but if he will allow, RotoGrinders.com/Discord into the live stream chat channel. Get yourself eligible. We're spinning that wheel in about 5 minutes or so. But, Squirrel, knock out the Nats and the Rangers.
Sure. So I'm going to put Nationals at the natural, which is a little bit higher than people might expect. But, Andrew Heaney, not really somebody you want to necessarily shy away from if you're not, like, paying the price in terms of pitching. And I think a 2nd in the league in stolen bases, so something to consider. Add a little bit of fantasy value without necessarily going directly to the actual scoreboard. So, like the Nationals there is a natural, ownership considered. Texas, I think got to go major league. They're there. Great power. Corey Seager, Adolis Garcia. Adolis Garcia's home run prop is like off the charts tonight.
2 to 1 or less.
I may go on the no there, just because I don't know like how guys get a home run prop that high. But he'll be a fixture in my DFS lineups and potentially a no home run bet.
Oh, Will Smith is playing baseball. He's DHing. Thank you. I saw the catcher was Barnes. My bad. Will Smith is in the lineup. It is kind of funny, by the way, the home run prop jumping off the page there for Garcia, because the pitcher he's facing, Trevor Williams, 0 home runs given up this year. Like that's what kind of kept him in ball games so far this season. He's got a 2.70 ERA, the 4.34 Sierra. Certainly been lucky. Homer and the fly ball, obviously 0. That should correct itself at some point. He's been all right, though. Like he's been historically worse than he has been so far this season. But Chop, jump in here. Washington, Texas. Is Texas the first team worthy of Major League?
Spoiler alert, Dean.
Uh-oh.
Texas is the only team in the Major League category I have tonight.
How is Cleveland not in the Major League category? We haven't got, they have to buy it's like they're like a legacy. Cleveland's not in the Major League category?
No, I don't. I'm in the real world, Dean. I'm not in the fictional
movie, right? Yeah.
I'm not in the fictional movie world. I'm in the real world here, brother. I can't give the people bad advice. I got to do what I feel is best. So they're in there. But I'm actually, not only am I with Squirrel here, I actually have Washington a level up into Moneyball.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I like some of their hitters. I like that lineup.
Who do you like?
I do not like Andrew Heaney, to be honest with you. Like, I am a fan of stacking against him. These last couple of outings, he's kind of changed his approach a little bit, and it's gotten him deeper into the game because he was like not even able to get through the 4th inning for a lot of these games. But even with that different approach that he's taken, he's still giving up a lot of runs while he's in there. And then you get to a bullpen that I don't think their bullpen is all that good. I know they won the World Series last year. I'm not trying to hate on them or nothing. I just think they overachieved. So I don't like the bullpen that much. I don't like Heaney that much. Yeah, I think it's a matchup that I can attack. So I'm going to go for it.
I like, Abrams as a one-off, I suppose. I always like Abrams. Meneses, I suppose, is fine. I can't see fully stacking Washington. I'm only making a couple lines.
See, that's all right. So that's where I think we probably differ. You're looking at the lineup and saying I can't fully stack the lineup. I'm looking more at the matchup. I think any lineup in a professional baseball uniform these days is capable of putting up a like stack-worthy performance, in any matchup. It just do you have to get a little lucky with them sometimes? Sure, but when I look at these guys, I like Meneses, Senzel, okay. Abrams, I don't care lefty on lefty. Like I said, I don't think Haney's going to be in there that long anyway. And Abrams is exciting. I think if we can get Haney out of there, Winker has a chance at a home run. I don't mind it, man.
I'm going to stick with Squirrel once again. To stick with the. This has just been kind of the story.
I know you're trying to hurt my feelings, but it's not working. I don't. It doesn't bother me, brother. It's just going to roll off my back. I'm not worried about it that much.
I just, blindfold. This is how I go as well. This is nothing personal. Absolutely. Cleveland and Houston. Maybe you can totally redeem yourself here, Chop. Houston and Cleveland. Where are you putting these teams?
Cleveland, first of all, to me, goes in a league of their own category. I don't want to stack against Verlander typically, but yeah, he can give up the occasional home runs. So yeah, maybe you get to him and that's fine. For Houston, like most people are gonna want to stick them up into the top category. I got them in Moneyball. I can't put them up there with Texas tonight. That lineup is still not sold. It's this great lineup, and I'll put it like this: if Tristan McKenzie didn't have these injury concerns, I certainly wouldn't want Houston as a stack tonight. I think he's a really good pick, but there is something there that's bothering him, and he's already come out and said it. And because of that, like I think we can stack against him just in case.
Tristan McKenzie, 17.7% Ks in the season. That's not good. 16.7% walks in the season. That's even worse. And a lot of fly balls. I think he's reverse splitsy. He's a right-hander. There's the Crawford boxes down the left field line. I know the two best hitters for Houston are lefties, but I've stacked against McKenzie several times unsuccessfully, but I'm coming back. Before a Squirrel even gives his opinion, I will say I would put Houston in Major League, just for the record. That's where I would put them. So we're going to pin it on Squirrel. I would, and I think you're correct for Cleveland. That's where I would have them as well. So Cleveland's going to stay where they're at, no matter what Squirrel says. But Houston, where do you got? Or you give your opinion on Cleveland by all means, Squirrel. But Cleveland,
Cleveland, I would put in Ed. So there you go, picking against me. Got a favorite shop. God, all right. I see how it is. In terms of Houston, I'd probably put them at the natural. Home team, they're not going to get that guaranteed ninth inning plate appearances. I think it's one of the most underrated things in DFS. When you're trying to pick a stack to go off, like, you want a team that's on the road if you can, right? Because they'll get those ninth inning at bats no matter how lopsided the score is, and that's sometimes that's when the shortstop's coming in to pitch. So I'd put Houston at Moneyball or even the natural, and I'd put Cleveland at Ed level.
That's funny. All right, we'll keep Cleveland where they're at, and we'll keep Houston where they're at too, because it's a compromise. We're all three of us are different, and we'll just middle it and keep them at Moneyball. Dodgers, D-backs. That is the last game. That is the late night hammer. We have all the lineups here with the exception of Boston. Boston should be coming through momentarily. Squirrel, close it out.
So Dodgers, we did miss somebody not being in that lineup, which is Shohei Ohtani is not in the starting lineup.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah. I might. Ooh, makes it a tough call. I'd put them at Moneyball. I think the Ohtani, being out, that hurts them. I was going to put him at Major League. And it is interesting because Chris Taylor is probably not long for that lineup. Should the game be close and he come up with somebody on base? Yeah, he's probably on, and there's probably a couple of guys in that lineup with both Max Muncy and Ohtani starting the lineup starting the game on the bench there. And then Arizona, I'd put them at Major League. I like the offense. Not a matchup that I'm trying to shy away from. So yeah, I'd put them up at Major League.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that for Arizona. Yamamoto, I respect. The Ks are awesome. The walks have been good as well. If he has one issue, it's he tends to not go deep in games. He throws a lot of pitches. Chop, jump in here. Arizona, yes. Producer Steve is waiting to decide where to throw Arizona. Chop, where do you want him to put him?
Arizona. I got Arizona in a league of their own.
Oof. Yeah.
Arizona. I mean, I don't know. I
put him in the middle. I put him in the middle with the natural. Just kind of middle it. But
yeah,
tell me why
you know.
you're so down in Arizona.
Well, first of all, the matchup is I don't think it's particularly good at all. He's a pretty good pitcher. The lineup has underperformed, in my opinion, this year. You know, they went to the World Series last year. They caught some lightning in a bottle. They were pretty good, but arguably their best hitter should be Corbin Carroll, and he's batting eighth. He's had a horrendous season. So I don't know. I don't think there's a ton of excitement there for me in the lineup or the matchup. Nothing really clicking for me. That's just my opinion. So I got Arizona ranked a little bit lower than everybody else. And the Dodgers for me were a money ball. I'm not really worried about losing a couple left-handed batters in there. I think we'll be fine. You know, it's a tough one. Actually, I thought I was being kind of frisky by putting them up this high. Everybody else seems to have the same opinion. They're like, I figured people would be scared a little bit of Jordan Montgomery. I guess they're not. So I guess to be contrarian, I would rank them lower, but I got them in Moneyball, so I'm fine with that.
It is interesting. Talk about this slate being kind of flat, like nothing super obvious. We collectively have one team up top, one team down below, and then a bunch of nonsense in the middle where we can't, we're sort of like debating back and forth, but that is kind of the slate. We do want to bring in producer Steve. Chop, I don't know if you have your knockers. I don't know if you have, we've got enough likes from the people, but, we do have a crunch time coming in about 5 minutes or so as well. So we want to get all the gimmicks out of the way. Your baby peep suggestion.
Not gimmicks. Brother, the way this show's going and the way you're overruling everything I'm doing, I just got to let the haters hate, man. You're off the charts here.
I was being objective.
Gimmicks.
Correct. They're not gimmicks.
I was being objective. I just happened to agree with Squirrel more. That's just how it worked out. I did agree with you a couple times.
No bias in there at all. So anyway.
Not at all.
Yeah. All right. Let's do this one. Let's go. The suggestion of the day, I pressed the button on the algorithm and it gave me Jose Altuve. I don't know the numbers. I don't know what's going on, but it says Altuve. So it hit the Connor Joe last night. So we're rolling Altuve suggestion of the day for BVP. Let's go Evan Carter, Wyatt Langford. A little 5-7 knockers, not back to back, a little space in there, but I think a little lesser known Texas pieces there.
Altuve 5 for 10, a single, 2 doubles, 2 homers, a walk, and 0 strikeouts against McKenzie, and it makes sense. That makes sense. That checks out.
The algorithm loves that stuff.
Reverse splits righty, so that does check out. All right, Steve, let's give the wheel a spin. Thank you for doing this. Chop and rock out. Zazira. Shout out to Zazira.
Yeah.
Producer Steve, you're going to slide in and hook him up with a week free of RG Premium. If you did not happen to win, sorry, try again tomorrow or next week. We always do some sort of, I don't want to say gimmick, and it's frowned upon, but we do a giveaway pretty much every single day of some sort. If you want to go ahead and purchase RG Premium, you don't happen to win, you can get yourself a 6-month sub, $250 off the regular price. If you're going to go month by month by month, if you commit to 6 months, it's $469.99. The links are in the description. If you do not want to commit to an entire half a season, half a year, 6 months, 1 month, you get $40 off for a limited time, and you just want a 3-day trial. It's $19.99. Scroll, you got any homers, any nuts for the people?
Yeah, got 2. One of them's a repeat. Just missed one yesterday. Jock Peterson going to get the revenge narrative homer against the Dodgers. And then somebody that did not miss yesterday, Christian Walker, got 2 of them. He's going to get another one tonight.
The walk-off. He had the walk-off as well. Yeah, that was my best lineup at Walker last night. How did the things go for you last night? If that was one of your nuts, I assume he was in a fair bit of your lineups. How did the night go for you?
I fell asleep because of the B delay. Woke up this morning. I'd actually have to check to see how it went. I don't. Nothing stood out this morning. So.
I love how you just don't know. I guess if you won like 50K or 100, you would know. I guess you would know that.
Nothing stood out with the account balance, so I don't think anything happened.
Still waiting for Boston. Do the Red Sox know they're playing baseball this evening? Unless maybe Tim's got Boston's lineup. He's got. I don't know if he has. Is it Joey Cora? Does he have Joey Cora in his phone as well? But I don't have a Boston lineup. I don't know why we don't have one just yet, but that's kind of strange. They're playing baseball in about
Who's
what,
Joey
45
Cora?
minutes? Is Joey Cora their manager? Who's the manager
Joey
for Boston?
Cora, man?
Is it not? You know who Joey Cora is? He played baseball for the White Sox. I thought he was a manager. Who is the Boston manager? I'm sorry, I'm not in a manager DFS league. I don't know every single manager.
I mean, there's a guy. There's an Alex Cora who used to play professional baseball. That man, I don't know who Joey is. Maybe that's
Joey
his little
Cora played
brother.
Baseball for the Mariners. Yeah. Okay. That was close
Fair
enough.
All right, yeah, you were close, brother.
But you're right.
Close. And let's not. Tim knows what you're doing here. You're kind of throwing shade at him. You know, of course he doesn't have Joey Cora's number or Alex Cora.
He's got a Cora.
You know that. He knows that. And you're just throwing shade at him, man.
I would never. He's part of the People's Show. I would never besmirch anybody in the People's Show. But I'll tell you who also I would never besmirch. That is Crunch Time. Crunch Time's here. We got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth / Tommy Boy Enthusiast, as well as Dave Hodge. Cheeseisgood. But SDL Cards on Twitter. We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. But you promised a rant of some sort. You are fired up. We're mad at Rob Manfred because he's taking away all of our games. Teams are blacking out their games. Did they not know this was happening yesterday? Did nobody get the memo? It's like, oh my God, wait a second. All the games are blacked out because I guess Bally Sports is going bankrupt. What's the story here, Cards?
Yeah, so Bally Sports has been going bankrupt for a year now, and it became this whole deal last year because Bally had the streaming rights for the local broadcast rights for like 16 major league teams. And as part of the bankruptcy proceedings, they gave up like a couple of them, the Guardians and like the Padres, I think. And so like MLB controls those broadcasts now. So MLB is trying to get control of these broadcasts from Bally Sports going belly up. And Bally is hanging on to those contracts saying they want more money out of them as a result of their bankruptcy proceedings. Well, then you throw in the cable TV network, the cable TV broadcast companies into the space. So Comcast, Xfinity, their deal with Bally Sports ran out at midnight on May 1st. And so, but nobody was aware of this. At least the general public wasn't aware of this. So all of a sudden this morning at like noon, I get a text from my wife that says the Cardinals game isn't on because here's the message that shows on the TV screen. And I search it up on Twitter, and every customer of Comcast, Xfinity, that had Bally Sports cannot watch their teams. So the biggest market that's affected by this is the Braves because it's basically all Comcast down there. And Comcast has a regional headquarters in Atlanta and is not carrying the Atlanta games because they're in a money grab with the bankrupt Bally Sports. And Rob Manfred won't lift the blackout restrictions, which are like a 6-hour radius. So somebody told me on Twitter, if you live in Indianapolis, there's no major league team in Indiana, but you can't watch the Cardinals, the Cubs, the White Sox, the Brewers, the Reds, or the Guardians in Indiana because of those blackout rules. So if you're a Comcast customer and you subscribe to MLB TV, which is me, I'm a Comcast customer. Now I can't get the Cardinals on my cable TV, and I pay $150 a year for MLB TV, and I can't get them there either. And now this is affecting fans of like 14 teams, and you're in a sport that objectively less fans are caring about than some of the other major sports. But you won't lift the blackout rules for those that are, MLB TV subscribers. It's insane to me. You got people that are paying for maybe 2 or 3 platforms that cannot watch their favorite team's games. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid, and it's driving me nuts. And I mean, yes, the Cardinals, obviously it's personal to me because now I can't watch. The one team I want to watch is like the only team I can't watch. But just think of all the fans. I mean, yeah, let's make our game less accessible. It's so stupid.
That was a proper rant. Behind. It was a good rant.
When I was in Vegas, I couldn't watch the Dodgers, the Padres, Oakland. Who wants to watch Oakland? Like San Fran. And you're 5 hours away, as if like,
right. Yeah. It's not like with the NFL, they do it for like attendance with the local markets. No, it's like a 5-hour radius. Oh yeah. Let me just hop in my car and go down to St. Louis for 5 hours and give me a break. It's so stupid.
Let's bring a bunch of bees to the headquarters.
Yeah, might as well. Bring on the bees.
All right, let's step aside and get out of here. It's an early start time. Myself and Head Chopper as well as Squirrel. We do appreciate you watching the first.
By the way, Dean, Joey Cora is the current third base coach for the Tigers.
Oh, there you go. I wasn't that far off. I got one of the Coras. That wasn't completely outrageous.
That's actually
Rob, take it
racist.
away.
That's actually racist, buddy.
What?
That's a good way to end it. We're just going to end it right there. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. You know the drill. It's crunch time. We're going to take you up 2 lock. We might take you through lock. We've got an early show happen. We had an early show earlier today. I got to hang out with this guy right here. Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood. Now we got another show that is earlier than the normal time, but we're going to do the normal song and dance. What up, Cheese?
Yes, it's a pleasure to see you twice in a day. Anytime I get to see you, even once, is a glorious day. Twice is magical.
I could not agree more. Hope you are doing well. We got STL cards in the house as well. Maybe feeling a little better after kind of getting that off your chest. You feel a little better, or did that just rally you up?
I mean, I think it's dumb, and obviously, people are saying you can find you can pirate off the. No, I'm not gonna pirate it off the internet. I'm a man of faith. I'm gonna try to watch my team legally. I'm trying to do that, but I can't. So yeah, it made me feel a little better to get it off my chest. They did lose again today, so I need some cheering up. So we'll get there.
Doug says, I love the rant. It was perfect. I did not realize any of that was happening, so I love the rant as well.
Nobody knew until this morning.
It's incredibly dumb that, like, we had someone in the chat say they're in Des Moines and they're blocked out of 7 teams.
Yeah, and Iowa. It's
right, what?
Iowa.
Yeah, that's fully insane. Michael says, I listened to the Tigers-Cardinals game on the old-fashioned radio. There we go.
Maybe fire up the AM dial. Heck, that's right. The only way. It's 2024, and the only way you can access your team is AM radio. That says something about the state of baseball broadcasting. It needs fixed.
Yeah, that does appear to be a big problem. But we have a big problem that we're trying to solve, and that is this slate in general. We're trying to win, I don't know, 50 grand, 100 grand, something like that. We got to give the people the plays. The weather, not a concern here tonight. Hopefully no bees. Can't make any promises. But as far as weather-related delays, unlikely to have any issues. Cards, I loved your tweet last night, man. I got a kick out of it.
Yeah, it was off the cuff there, but way to whip on that forecast.
Where was this, Rob? It was good.
If you missed producer Steve with the the reply of the day in the YouTube chat, that made my day. I feel
that was the reference I was getting at when I said that. So
it was good stuff. All right, hey, let's dive into the slate. Weather it's out. We've got less than 30 minutes until lock. Let's jump into it. Cheese, why don't you give me kind of a rundown, and maybe we'll talk some cash pitchers as well.
Yeah, it's very spread out. With one of the first times in a while we've had a bunch of good pitchers without like the clear. This one guy is definitely the best and definitely the chalk. So I would say, I guess Corbin Burnes is kind of the chalk, but only kind of. Like basically, we're looking at Burnes. You got Yamamoto and Imanaga. You got Verlander. You got Cutter Crawford. Those are kind of the 5 expensive guys, and then you've got like Luis Heel and Jose Butthole Jenkins for some cheap, risky upside. And then you got cheap Andrew Heaney and Roddery Munoz, a Marlins rookie against the Rockies. So you've got like a lot of extremely viable pitchers, and there's not – I don't see any super clear this is definitely the way to build in any kind of format. And I think ownership is pretty much going to echo that. Like, yes, I think Burnes is probably the most popular, but if he's the one you like, it's not going to be hard at all to get way over the field. Like, I think we're going to just end up seeing like 15 to 25% on all these guys on DK.
Okay, well, let's talk about
over 20 on FanDuel.
Okay, well, then let's talk about your favorites. If we're not too worried about what the field is doing, then we just got to worry about picking the right guys. Who are the right guys?
Yeah, my 2 favorites are, I don't think the field favorites, although again, it's all close. I like Shota Imanaga and Cutter Crawford, just slightly ahead of Corbin Burnes and Yamamoto. To me, those four stand out. I'm not quite there on Verlander yet against a low strikeout team. Like, by all means, play Verlander too. He's right there. But when you look at the skill sets, they're all pretty close. Maybe Yamamoto strikeouts are real, which would make him the top guy, but it's still pretty small sample, so we don't know. And then with the matchups, Burns and Yamamoto have the tougher matchups. So I'm playing Imanaga and Crawford as my main two. And then I'm more nervous than optimistic on Luis Heel / Gill and Butto. So I'm going down to Andrew Heaney with a little bit of Munoz. Munoz's minor league numbers do not look good, and I don't really trust it. It's just that he's home against the Rockies and he's cheap, so sure. But I do prefer Heaney over him as the cheap guy. So to narrow that down, Imanaga, Crawford, Burns, Yamamoto, Heaney, maybe Munoz.
Okay, did see you mentioned him. Bootleg Head Chopper in the chat says, can we talk about Heel or Gill in his last outing versus the O's? Did he get blown up? Do we know what happened there?
I would have to look. I don't pay attention to those things.
That's fair. All right.
But let's look. It was not this year, so not relevant.
No. Yeah, that can't. Is that what he meant?
He hasn't faced them this year.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what he meant to ask. That does not seem relevant whatsoever. Okay, good enough. Cards, what is it that you are thinking, looking at, planning on as you talk about pitchers here?
Yeah, I'm not sure what that question meant either, because his only career outing against the Orioles was in 2021. So
it doesn't seem very relevant at all. Yeah, 3 years ago, probably
debut. So yeah, but otherwise, I kind of agree with Cheese on the kind of the ordering of the pitchers tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm maybe a little bit higher on Burns just in general, but obviously with the matchup, I can see if you don't feel comfortable with it, just play one of those other guys if you need a little extra to spend on the bats. I really like Cutter Crawford. I've kind of been overweight on him all year long. As long as and a lot of these guys, Crawford, Buto, Heel, it's all a matter of control. Dean tweeted earlier that exactly half the batters that Heel has faced this year has either been a walk or a strikeout, which is remarkable, 50% combined walk and strikeout rate. But and all those guys are, kind of lumped in the mid-tier of pricing, 9,400 on DK for Burns, 7,800 for Heel. So you've only got like a $1,600 difference between all those guys, plus Verlander in that mix as well. Not as high on Verlander against a lower strikeout Cleveland team. I think if you're going for upside in GPPs, you might as well go with one of those cheaper guys that maybe has a little bit more risk reward potential with the walks. Echo Cheese's thoughts on Munoz, and I've kind of been waiting for the last 30 minutes whether I want to play some of him or whether I want to stack the Rockies, neither of which sounds particularly appealing. I've landed right now on playing a little bit of Munoz, but I don't think I would play him as like a core piece or anything. So yeah, I've landed on kind of the same tier. I do not have as much Yamamoto tonight for reasons that we'll talk about as we go through the bats. So Imanaga and Burns are the guys I have the most exposure to on the high end, and then Crawford and a little bit of Heel in the mid-range, and probably a little bit of Munoz. But I agree with Cheese that I think the cheap guy that I prefer is Heaney, as long as he starts keeping the ball in the ballpark. At least Washington is not the most imposing of lineups, and he had 7 Ks, no walks his last start. He's 6K on DraftKings, so I think you go with whoever you want at the top, and then Heaney at 6K makes for a good SP2 on DraftKings that would allow you to stack in a few more bats.
Okay. We got to talk some stacks and some bats. And Dean pointing out, at least as of like 5 minutes ago, we still don't have a Boston lineup. Is that still accurate?
Yeah,
that seems...
I think they were expecting a right-handed starter, and then they went to a left-handed opener, and I think Boston had no idea how to deal with that. They're like, oh, I don't know how to remake my lineup. Like, I really think that's what it is. I would expect it any minute now.
Okay.
Maybe someone's banged up that we don't know about, but it better come out.
Yeah, they are reportedly signing Dominic Smith, so there's also a rumor going on of whether they're trying to figure out if he's available. So that could also be a part of it.
It's wild that the Red Sox are so bad that they're signing Dominic Smith affects their lineup for a day.
Really need you here in an hour. Good. Can you make it?
Yeah.
Somebody's on the AM radio trying to call him up.
All right. Well, let's dive into the stacks cards. Is there a chalk stack? Pitchers seem fairly spread out. Is it the same for bats?
Yeah, it is. It's a very muddled slate tonight. I'm not sure if there's one team that, if you just go off of ownership, I would guess that it's probably Houston. The Dodgers have a little bit more ownership than I originally expected. Obviously those two offenses are pretty talented. Houston's offense has finally started to click. I do really like both of them tonight. I'm kind of under the impression that the Dodgers might come in a little bit lower. So against Montgomery, who was supposed to start last night, but then didn't start last night because of the bees. So he's starting tonight. So in terms of my exposure to the field, I'll probably be most overweight on the Dodgers. Otherwise, the upside ones are probably Houston and Texas. Miami and Colorado, like two mediocre pitchers, two mediocre.
I just got the giggles that in real life you were just like, well, it didn't happen, because of the bees. I don't know why that just tickled me. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. It's just we're talking Major League Sports, and that really happened. Like that was a real thing.
I don't know if he's. I don't know. Like, was Jordan Montgomery afraid of the bees, or did he go through his pregame routine before they noticed the bees? And
it has to be he was scared of the bees. That's
I think he was
fear
factor. He's probably afraid of the bees.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry.
No, maybe Colorado or Miami on the low end.
Crying all over myself.
Me too. I don't know why that got me.
I had lineup HQ on my screen, so I was not aware that you were losing it there.
Yeah.
I audibly heard it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Back to it.
Yeah, you can go to cheese now. Colorado, Miami as your cheap stacks.
Derek says he warmed up and he didn't want to go back out because of the bees. Obviously, I think he was afraid of the bees. Cheese, what are you doing here stack wise?
Yeah, the same as cards. It's pretty spread out. I do think the two Texas teams are the chalk, Rangers, Astros, but it's more like there's a couple bats here and there that are chalk. I also like both Rockies and Marlins for cheap stacks. I still will like the Red Sox if the lineup looks like what I want it to look like, which would be to say I hope they leave the lefties in there, knowing that this guy's just an opener.
What if they sign Dominic Smith?
Then I'm all in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I am over the field on Rangers Astros because again, while they may be the chalk, it's not like a 40% owned team anywhere.
Right. Okay. Any cheap nonsense you want to throw in there, or you feel
that's the Rockies?
Okay, all right, excellent.
Definitely the Rockies.
Let's go around the horn. We actually only have less than 20 minutes here until lock, which should be plenty of time. But Cheese, why don't you start us off with a little catcher talk?
So the Dodgers overall are kind of a weird and tough stack just because of their pricing, and then like Ohtani's got the night off, but then they got all this pinch hit risk, but whether you stack the Dodgers or not, I do love Will Smith. I like Jonah Heim, a very good bit. Elias Diaz, I like. Otherwise, really just kind of catch you in your stack kind of night.
Carts, catcher?
Yeah, not phenomenal tonight by any means. I will have a good chunk of Will Smith. Just because I like the Dodgers and he's pretty good even regardless. Connor Wong, again, pending that Boston lineup, would probably be my mid-range choice tonight. Otherwise agree with the whoever in your stack approach, and that's about it.
Okay, first base cards.
Low-owned guys, before I forget to mention them, I think Freddie Freeman as probably your lowest-owned Dodger against a lefty is at least interesting, even though he struggled a bit. And Christian Walker, who hit the walk-off home run last night in celebration of the bees. against Yamamoto would be fine as well. As I mean, those guys super low owned tonight given the matchups. So I think you can play them as GPP options at first base. Otherwise, it seems like people are probably going to go cheap here tonight. I'm not on Washington, but they do have Meneses hitting cleanup against a lefty. Josh Bell's hitting cleanup against Dakota Hudson. Nate Lowe is hitting third, and he's under 4K on DraftKings. So back to the cheap at first base, probably being the approach that most people take. I think the GPP kind of contrarian spend-ups are Freeman and Walker.
Great. Cheese, first base.
Yeah, I'm with the field. I love the cheap stuff. Like I like it as much as the expensive stuff, even if it was all the same salary. So Nate Lowe is my favorite. Okay with Josh Bell and the Cubs. It's being Michael Busch in the mid tier, and then Mervis as a cheap guy. I like Eluris Montero, John Singleton, bunch of cheap stuff that I'm very content with.
Okay, second base, Cheese.
I guess Mookie Betts is kind of a priority unless you're stacking Houston or Texas or Houston, Texas, where Semien and Altuve are like fantastic pieces of the stack, and they're fine on their own as well. I prefer Semien over Altuve. All those guys are very expensive, obviously. The mid-tier is a little dicey. I guess I would say Luis Arias is my favorite, but I don't love him as a one-off ever. On DraftKings, I'll play a little Kiki Hernandez at second. I like Brendan Rodgers. And then if Emmanuel Valdez is in the lineup, which better show up anytime, I'm playing him on DK a little bit as well.
Okay, Cards, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, not super deep tonight here at this position on the night slate. So, I mean, Semien and Altuve pretty obvious as the spend-ups. The problem is I don't like a whole lot of the pivots tonight. I suppose Brendan Rodgers, if you're into picking on Munoz a little bit, is okay. But it's not like you're getting super excited to click Brendan Rodgers. So that leans me to the same, Mookie as a spend up on DraftKings or Kike. Maybe some pinch hit risk with the way the Dodgers have constructed their lineup tonight. Ohtani is not starting, so I did see somebody in the YouTube chat asking, if Ohtani pinch hits, will it be for somebody from 1 through 5? I mean, there's no way for us to know it. It depends on game situation and, the spot where that might happen. And if it's 10-0, he's probably just going to stay on the bench. So difficult to tell, but there is maybe some pinch hit risk for those Dodgers tonight. Second base, though, it's just so bad that I don't mind playing Kike, especially at 2,800 on DK.
Okay, we'll go to third. Jason in the YouTube chat says, who is the cash third baseman tonight? Help your boy one time. Help him out, Cards.
Yeah, it depends on, I guess, how much people value matchups versus recency bias versus salary. I mean, people have been complaining about Alex Bregman pretty much all year, and then he homered last night. So is everybody going to go to Bregman against Tristan McKenzie? He right now is one of our most popular plays. And, I said yesterday, I wrote the article for Cheese that I wasn't really ready to say that Bregman is done just yet, but better start doing something against weaker pitching, and he homered last night. So Nick Senzel hit a couple home runs. I believe that was Sunday against the Marlins. He's still 2,700 on DK and hitting second. I think you can make a case for either. They're probably our two. Yeah, they are our two highest owned right now. You can play one of those guys in cash. There's not an obvious, here's the guy you're clicking tonight. Christopher Morel, I like a good bit in tournaments too. You can always play Jose Ramirez at 3% ownership, even against Verlander. Eugenio Suarez, I think, is fine in GPPs as well. Dahlbeck, if he's in that Boston lineup. So, yeah, not a strong position, but there are at least a few options here.
Okay. Sounds like you're kind of picking for home runs, searching for somebody to hit a bomb. Cheese, what are you doing at third?
Yeah, it's not great. I think Ryan McMahon and Rafael Devers are my two favorites. Kind of where most of my, if it's not in a stack, that's what I'm trying to get to, is one of those guys. I'm fine punting it only because it's bad, but Nick Senzel is just the guy, and I think we're going to get Nick Senzel chalk. because he's been, wait for it, hot. But like ownership projections were not really showing Nick Senzel chalk. So if I'm not playing McMahon or Devers, I'm just playing Senzel and being happy with the salary. Like I'm not trying to chase these mid-tier guys unless it's in a stack. Like it's just the high end or Senzel for me.
Okay, shortstop, Cheese.
You guessed it. It's fantastic. Just every day. It doesn't matter what the slate is like. Shortstop is awesome. I think Seager is the very obvious chalk here, with saying that Betts will be used more a second. The two of them would be both pretty popular, but Seager I think is the obvious play, especially on FanDuel. He's too cheap. I think Gunnar Henderson is the superstar that gets forgotten. I do like Baltimore in general, and definitely Henderson. I think one of the ways you can, if you're doing a bunch of lineups, to do something different is just do a couple Texas stacks without Seager and slot in Gunnar Henderson, and voila, you have the same upside with a different lineup. And you can put Josh Smith there instead of Seager too, if you want to stick with Texas. There's mid-tier guys that are pretty great in stacks, like Jeremy Pena, Dansby Swanson, Blaze Alexander. But they're so far below the top guys. I don't love them as one-offs, and I'd rather just, if for some reason I can't spend up, I would just punt with like Bruhan for 2,500 on DK and just hope you get a few points, and hope the top guys don't hit 7 homers.
Yeah. Okay. Guard, shortstop.
Yeah, you mentioned Blaze Alexander there. I wish he wasn't hitting 9th. I do have a decent amount of Arizona stacks tonight on a shorter slate. Obviously, Yamamoto's been really good lately, but he got knocked around his first start, and I mean, nobody's playing Arizona here, so throwing some Arizona stacks out there tonight I don't think is a bad idea. So I do have Alexander in some of those. Otherwise, hitting 9th, maybe not a guy you'd want to play as a one-off or anything like that. But otherwise, pretty much agree with the guys that Cheese mentioned. Tovar, I think, would be another guy you can throw out there. Not that I think he's anything great, but leading off against a rookie pitcher with some questionable metrics, he could get 5. He's on the road too. Could get 5 at bats tonight if the Rockies can manage to get enough guys on base. So he'd be the only other name I'd throw out there. Otherwise, I think we've covered him.
Okay. Outfield cards.
All right. So Yordan Alvarez, probably my favorite Houston bat and my favorite spend at the position tonight. You should have enough salary at least to get one spendy guy. Then you can go kind of in the mid-range. If you want to, I mentioned the Dodgers. Andy Pages is still pretty cheap, and he's got a little boost up in the lineup tonight. Teoscar Hernandez is hitting cleanup again with some of the changes in their order, so don't mind a couple of those Dodgers. The Marlins have been terrible, but you're at least getting some of them at more reasonable prices now. Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez will be a couple popular values tonight. Tauchman has been hitting the ball very well for the Cubs of late and continues to hit in the 2 spot since Bellinger's gone on the IL. Not that I'm going out of my way to pick on Buto, but Tauchman should be more expensive than he is right now, especially on DraftKings at 3.5K. So he's probably my favorite value guy.
Okay. Cheese, outfield.
Yeah, plenty to love in all price ranges. Definitely Alvarez is the top guy. And kind of like everything, like I say chalk, but nobody's 50% owned here. So I'm fine playing Alvarez and Tucker with him. Jazz Chisholm, I love, easier to fit on FanDuel. Evan Carter is one of my favorite mid-tier plays. Not one of, he is my favorite mid-tier play. Still waiting for these Red Sox. I would like to see Tyler O'Neill. I would like him as a spend up to be different. Cards mentioned a lot of the good cheap guys. I like Jesus Sanchez and Paez. The Astros have another, well-named rookie. I'm calling him Lopper Fido. I don't think that's how you say it, but
I would like to see the name on screen just so that I can get like a
Loper, Loper Fido, like the dog's name. Fido.
Oh yeah, we'll go to Loper Fido.
Yeah,
yeah.
But he's got some legit power and he's cheap. So if you play him and Singleton, which that's going to be a pretty chalky Astros stack build. play Singleton and Lauper Fido to be able to get Alvarez and Altuve or whoever. So don't think you're being sneaky there, but it's a lot of upside. So yeah, pretty much at least one cheap outfielder in just about every lineup.
All right. Jason says Soto, no love. I feel like there's probably love for him, right? There's
Yeah, I
nothing wrong
mean,
with it.
you're never going to target a guy against Corbin Burns, but he's not striking out lefties this year for whatever it's worth, and it's Juan Soto. So, I mean, sure.
Yeah. We've got about 6 minutes now until lock, and that means we're going to take some QQs. First, we should note, if you haven't checked out SimLabs, you should. It's an expert DFS lineup generator tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, now available for NBA, PGA, and MLB. Just a few clicks, you can have hundreds of well-built correlated lineups, whatever contest you're playing. You get access to SimLabs with an RG premium subscription, so be sure to make that happen, which, by the way, you can get your first month of RG premium for $40 off for a limited time. So those things go together. Chinatown says, lock is in 5 minutes. Okay, I said 6. Well, okay. I said 6 a minute ago. Now, so now it's 5. That seems to check out. I feel like my math is working. Let's get some QQs here. King Dash says, Cheese, your favorite Marlins and favorite Orioles on FanDuel for cash.
I mean, definitely Jazz on FanDuel. The rest of it, I mean, I don't really love anyone else for cash particularly. I mean, yeah, I don't know what to say. Jazz is the only one who would be in my cash lineup.
Okay. Cards, I don't fully understand this question, but I'm just going to read it as is from Chinatown here. It says, QQ, who would these guys play in DK Cash if they played? Burns and Heaney equals nuts? Is Burns and Heaney the nuts? And more so, what is your cash pairing?
If I was playing cash games, that would probably be the pairing I would roll tonight on DraftKings, yes.
Okay. Morning Napalm. I'll open this one up to both of you here. Missed the pitching discussion. Cards, you can go first. Can I play or should I play Yamamoto in single entry on FanDuel?
So I'm stacking some Arizona tonight. So in my world, the answer to that is no. But he's also perfectly capable of being the highest scoring pitcher on the slate. So I am not, but that's not to say that you can't do that.
Cheese, any other thoughts there?
In my world, it's a yes. I have him in a single entry.
Great. Okay. DK Cash, Crawford Munoz pairing. Cheese.
I wouldn't play Munoz in cash. I mean, it's not horrendous. I don't think you're crazy, but I would play Heaney over him if you have to go that cheap in cash.
Okay. Is Miller reasonable in cash? The San Francisco opener Miller, that can't be. Absolutely not,
No,
right?
do not use an opener in cash on this slate. We
got real pitchers.
pitchers.
We got real pitchers. This ain't a 3-game slate.
Yeah.
We
And
got
even
real
if you
pitchers.
feel like you had to go cheap, you could do Heaney Munoz. I mean, don't do that either. But I mean, you would at least get actual pitchers that way.
Right. We'll go to DePrince. Favorite FanDuel outfielder cards, 2,800 or cheaper.
Let's see. Throw one to Cheese and I'll scour the FanDuels here. I got to switch on my screen.
Okay. Mike Savage, awesome name, by the way, says, is Wheeler in line for the win? I don't know what that means.
Oh, I stopped watching the Phillies game once we started.
Okay.
If it's still 2-1, then yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. I'll give you one more, Cheese, and then we'll get cards. DK Cash question, Cheese, Devers and Loper Fido or Josh Smith and Ev Carter?
If we get that Boston lineup, I'd go with the Devers side, but it's very close.
Okay.
Yeah, I would go with Tauchman as the outfielder. He's 2,700 in that range.
Okay, great. Cards. Devin says, would you all play, not our Devin, different Devin. We love our Devin. We love this Devin too. Would y'all play Yamamoto over Burns if you had a Dodgers 5-man on DK?
I mean, that's irrelevant because if you're playing a Dodgers stack, the pitching, I mean, I suppose he's more likely for a win, but that's not enough to sway my analysis. So the Dodgers 5-man stack is irrelevant to the question, and it just becomes Burns or Yamamoto, which I fully admit I'm underweight on Yamamoto tonight, so I would play Burns, but a lot of people would argue either side there.
Okay. Christian says, is Devers starting? We don't know. We don't know. Oh, there's my guy Devin in the chat with the heart emoji.
Your
Daryl George,
other guy, Devin.
the other Devin, yeah, all the way from South Carolina. He says, first, a thank you for yesterday's fine call of Bregman over Riley. Today, the question is Yahoo Cash Cheese Seager bets.
I mean, there's definitely no wrong answer. I slightly prefer Seager.
Okay, Cleveland Picker cards. He picks. He does not pick a guitar. He does not pick.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Antiques and other things, and then he resells them.
Antique guitars and plays them.
The Polar Bear or Christian Walker tonight, straight up.
Oh man, I'm liking Walker, like 2% ownership. Polar Bear is going to be about the same, but give me Walker.
Okay. Garcia or Alvarez. This is a Garcia or Alvarez cheese.
I mean, definitely Alvarez, but he's also chalk. Like if the rest of your lineup were super chalky, then go with Adalis, but Alvarez is the top play.
Okay. J3 says, Roth, can you please talk some dew points? We got a long season. We got plenty of dew points to talk when the temperature starts warming.
And you know, I've chided you in a couple of past broadcasts about how easy the job is, the weather job, because it was so easy the couple days I had to fill in. And now here we are again today. You missed the bees last night.
Yeah.
And now another day where I'm on and everything's green again.
Everything's green. It's true.
We just
he didn't even
put you to work
straight green in that Arizona game. He didn't even mention it as a possibility.
I did. Yeah, I didn't even. It wasn't even on my radar. It's humiliating.
Put a Tommy Boy reference.
Yeah, it's not enough. I got to do better. What can I say, guys? I got to do better. QQ from Dean. Who is your favorite Cora tonight?
That's a troll question. You can move along.
And it's the managers. Is there other Coras that I'm not thinking about?
So Dean screwed up at the end of the last show. Dean screwed up the Coras and said
I
Joey
saw.
Cora.
Because even when
Alex.
he said it, I was like, I even know that it's Alex Cora. Like I even knew that. And I know nothing about
Alex
baseball.
Cora is the manager, but Joey Cora was like a 10-year major leaguer, and he's the current third base coach of the Tigers, which I only know because I was able to watch the Cardinals game last night. I wasn't able to watch it today because I can't. But
never again.
Yeah, Joey Cora is the third base coach of the Tigers. So Dean wasn't too far off.
He is pretty far off. Hey, Cards, what do you think is going to be the length of this blackout? Do you think it's going to be, just if you had to guess, you're a smart guy, just an educated guess, truthfully not knowing at all, how long do you think this absolute nonsense is going to last?
Yeah, so from anecdotal past experience, when the cable provider puts up a thing, so if you tune to the channel right now expecting to watch, and this is 14 teams that are impacted. So if you're one of those fans and you turn it to the channel on Xfinity right now, you get a message that explains Bally Sports is going bankrupt and could not reach a deal. Scan this QR code to learn more. And so you've got everybody on social media blasting Bally's and blasting Comcast. And usually when those things come to a head and people can't watch their favorite team, that's when the sides finally say, okay, let's get a deal done. And right, it's not like, and if you wait too long, people are going to start switching to, streaming online or whatever, looking for other options.
Yeah.
So
looking to pirate things, listen to the radio. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me. Like, I think either it gets done in the next 4 or 5 days, or then it just drags on. Which, yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, like Saturday or Sunday, they'll figure something out. But I don't know.
Intriguing. All right. Okay. Sounds good. I think we got Joshua says, get the SimLabs team to write something to robocall Comcast until they cave. I like this. We're going to get our team on that immediately. We're going to bounce on out of here. So for Cheese for Cards, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been great.